and welcome to this special place to be with God. This is a place, just like the place where you are, where we can talk to God, where we can listen to God, and where we tell the stories of God. And it's a place where we don't have to hurry because we have all the time we need. So I want to start out with our greeting like we always do, and I will say, Christ is risen. And then you can say, the Lord is risen indeed, in response. And you can say that greeting and that response with anyone who's in the room with you. Today is the 6th Sunday after Pentecost. So if you look at our calendar, you will see that we're on the 6th green Sunday after Pentecost, which is the red Sunday. And if you have a Christ candle that you light, or that if it's battery operated and you turn it on, you can get that out now, or we'll just use this one. And we light the Christ candle. You could probably tell me why we light the Christ candle. We light the Christ candle to remind us that Christ is always with us whenever we gather together, especially when we gather together to hear one of God's stories. And there's a lot of ways that we get ready to hear God's stories, right? So you could take a couple deep breaths. You could make sure that your bodies are relaxed and comfortable and not fidgety. And then we'll sing together, Be Still and Know. And this is a cool song because it's words out of the Bible, and you can imagine that they're like God's words to you as we get ready to hear the story. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. So when we sing that song, we know it's time to hear one of God's stories. So I'm going to move my candle to the side so we have plenty of room. And it looks like today's story might be another parable. This box is gold, and we know that parables are precious like gold. So that's one clue. Parables are also like presents, and this looks kind of like a present. They've been given to us since before we were born. Another reason is because it has a lid on it. And sometimes parables kind of seem to have a lid or kind of a door. And sometimes you have to keep coming back to it and hearing and experiencing the parable over and over to see what it has to offer you. So maybe we'll just check inside, see if it's a parable. Well, we have this. I wonder what this could be. It's white. It's pretty big, very round. What do you think? It could be a big snowball, although it might not last very long, as hot as it is right now. Might remind us kind of like the moon. Maybe it's a moon. I don't know. What do you think this big white circle could be? Let's see what else we have. Well, there's this. That's kind of interesting. And there's more of these. This one is similar, but different. They're brown. You might say that they have an inside and an outside. Well, here's a few things that might help us. We have a rug and a bed, a chair, all kinds of stuff. We even have a little table, a couple of things to sit on the table. Now it's kind of starting to look like it might be a house. There's one more thing here. This looks pretty precious too. One more. Once, there was someone who did such wonderful things, who said such amazing things, that people began to follow him. And as they followed, he taught them about a special place that he called the Kingdom of Heaven, which they had never heard of. They didn't know anyone who had been there. They really didn't know what it was. So, on that day, they said, "What is the kingdom of heaven like?" And he told them this parable. He said, "The kingdom of heaven is like a merchant who buys and sells fine pearls. And he is on the search for the great pearl. So he goes and he looks. And when he finds the great pearl, he takes everything he has even his whole house. And he exchanges everything he owns. For the great pearl. That's the parable. What do you wonder about this story? I wonder, what is so special about this pearl? What makes this pearl the great pearl? And the rest of these are just pearls. I wonder what the great pearl could really be. I wonder how the merchant feels having traded everything he owns just for the great pearl. I wonder how the seller feels, because he now has all of this stuff, but he doesn't have the great pearl. I wonder who you think has more, the merchant with the great pearl or the seller with all this stuff. I wonder if you know the merchant, if the merchant has a name. I wonder who the merchant really is. I wonder who the seller really is. I wonder if the merchant is happy. I wonder if you've ever been close to this person or this table. I wonder what this place really is. I wonder what this whole place could really be. You might have other things you wonder about too. Sometimes it's good to talk to someone about the things you wonder about. It's also really good to maybe draw a picture. You can draw a picture about the things you wonder about, or about how this story makes you feel. You can read this story in the Bible. It's just 2 verses. They're in the book of Matthew, chapter 13, verses 45 and 46. So you could also read it there. Now I'm going to change our light. So we change the light to remind us that the light of Christ that was in one place at one time can now be in many places at all times. The light of Christ is with us wherever we go and whatever we do. Amen.